Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of RSO Podcast. We have a special guest today. His name is Adam Wies. Now, if you don't recognize that name, you might know him better, as hundreds of thousands of his fans do, as Hootie Hoo. Hello, Hootie Hoo. Adam, welcome to the show. It is really a treat to have you. You have quite a following on YouTube, and what I'd like to do today, if you don't mind, is plumb the depths of how you got here and what some of your passions are. Obviously, they lean heavily towards guns and shooting
Oh yeah.
because you've got quite the YouTube channel on that topic.
Oh yeah. It is
So,
an honor to be in the presence of Mr. Ron Spomer. All jokes aside, I tell people I try to be the hillbilly or the younger version or the redneck version of Ron Spomer. That's really
that redneck spomer.
but no, awesome to be here.
That's crazy.
I've been looking forward to this and hanging out for a little while. But yeah,
Yeah, I have too. So how did you get going in well, let's start with the YouTube thing because that's
sure,
quite the craze these
sure.
days. How did you get into YouTube?
So I get asked that question from time to time. The answer really is simple. Had a normal corporate 9 to 5 job, whatever you want to call it. And my wife came home one day and said, all these people are being successful just recording their everyday lives. I said, sure, research a camera and I'll figure out how to edit it and we'll just go from there. So we started doing like family vlog type stuff. She would do cooking shows and
Mhm.
then I started recording my interests, one of which firearms and hunting. Then it just kind of went from there, recording what we were doing, recording what I was doing what I normally did
Mm.
anyways, and just bringing the cameras with me.
Well, when did that start?
Oh, probably about almost 6 years ago.
6 years,
Yeah.
yeah. And now I've noticed your YouTube channel. My gosh, you've got literally hundreds of thousands of followers. How many are you?
Uh,
Looking at
I think it's
300,000 or
about to hit 400,000, I think.
400,000? Man, that's a lot of folks who are prying into your private affairs.
Hey, it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah. And how often do you post?
At least once a day. I try to do 2 a day a lot of times, but that takes a whole lot of work, and sometimes I only get 1 YouTube video.
Wow, I can't imagine doing that many. I'm happy to get 1 or 2 a week done.
Well, I mean, I try to cover a whole lot of stuff and get out as much as I can, learn as much as I can.
What do your fans seem to like the most? What topics?
So, a lot of the stuff that I try to focus on is bolt action rifles. So I dabble in some pistols and some semi-autos, but my passion really is the bolt action stuff. So a lot of my videos tend to be in the bolt actions. So really, it's just buying a bunch of bolt actions and me personally learning through experience and stuff like that, and putting it all on camera, and a lot of that translating into as much hunting as I can. I love hunting. I'd love for every video to be a hunting video, but obviously we have to go hunt when the season.
Not enough time for that,
Yeah,
huh? Yeah.
and some of that costs
Well,
money
that's
too.
great.
But yeah,
Well, that just takes us into your hunting career. When did you get started? Were you a country boy who was learning at your daddy's knee, or did you come to it later in life, like so many of us these days? How did that
yeah.
happen?
So my dad never hunted. I think I squirrel hunted like once growing up, maybe. But my first hunt, really, I think I was 21. A guy at work, I was a forklift driver at a warehouse, overheard some guys at lunch talking about deer hunting. I
Mm-hmm.
call him an old timer. He was probably maybe 65. And,
That's old.
and he said he was excited about me asking him. Of course, me now being a big time deer hunter, I love talking about deer hunting. So he was the same way. Like, you want a deer hunt? I will show you a spot on some public land. He sold me a
Yeah.
muzzleloader for $100 and told me how to use it and that sort of thing. And for 5, 6, 7 years, I still hunted that public spot and took a whole lot of whitetails. So that was my introduction to hunting, was whitetails in Tennessee from
Mhm.
a coworker who showed me a public land spot that I could deer hunt on. Then I was hooked.
That is that's a great story in so many ways. One is that deer hunter was willing to show you the ropes
Absolutely.
and bring you into the
Which
fold. And I think that is critically important for all of us hunters to do with new
oh,
hunters,
yeah.
whether they're young or old, doesn't matter. Bring them in.
Absolutely, and since then, that's really a controversial topic. So, a lot of people it's just like fishing. I'm not gonna show you my favorite spots, or I'm not gonna show you where the deer are. But
Right.
that very spot that he showed me, I got the biggest whitetail I have ever taken. It was I think it was in 2008. Actually, I know it was a 13 pointer on public land from that very spot. So he wasn't
Yeah.
even showing me his, there might be a doe
His
there.
best
He
spot.
showed me an
Yeah.
awesome spot, and I
Yeah.
had seen since then. I've seen monster whitetail there. I hadn't shot them, but I've seen them there.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, that's the other thing is that a lot of folks think, it's just so hard to find private land to hunt on, and it's so expensive to go on guided hunts, so I'm not really going to bother. And here you are on public land in a fairly heavily hunted state, I would
yep,
imagine. Tennessee's not like no one ever hunts there,
yep,
right?
yep,
Got plenty of pressure, and yet you're finding success. So that I think gives us hope. Whether you are getting started in a empty western state, empty, there's really no such thing
yep.
anymore, but or a crowded eastern state, there are still opportunities out there if you either get invited by someone else to show you the ropes or just discover it on your own.
And to take that even a little bit further, these days it's even easier. So people ask me all the time, like, "Can you take me hunting or can you show me spots?" With the
Mhm.
technology now, I can show you on your phone,
Oh
tell
yeah.
you, pull up the public land areas, and I can literally drop you a pin on spots to hunt, and you could be on the other side of the world, and I can show you
Yeah.
on the phone or on the computer, "Here's a public land spot, here's
Yeah.
a public land spot." It's really easy these days.
Yeah. And that's kind of a relief too, because throughout my hunting career, I'm always conscious of and nervous about stepping on the wrong side of a line.
Yeah, yeah,
You get onto some private property and you get into trouble, and that just ruins the whole program for
yeah,
you.
absolutely.
And the worrying about that while you hunt is just not the idea of a pleasant hunt. So, yeah, having a phone app like that, I use Hunt
I
Stand,
do
and just to be able to look at it quickly and say, "Oh, I'm safe. This is public land, but I better not cross that line."
yeah.
That really makes a difference.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I use hunt stands,
that is
and
great.
my wife loves that I use hunt stands because it keeps me from getting lost. Before the
My wife just says, "Go get lost."
no, I get lost. She needs somebody to come home and tag team with all the kids we got at the house, so got
Yeah, yeah. Well, see, our kids are gone, so my wife just as soon stay home and not have me interrupting her day.
yeah.
Yeah. So you're mostly a deer hunter. You don't do upland birds or waterfowl, any small game?
I did my first duck hunt this year, about a month and a
Uh-oh.
half ago. I got to go to Arkansas, had a
Oh my
blast, took
goodness.
a bunch, but,
Now your wife's not going to see you around so much anymore.
yeah, I know. But now I've got all the duck hunting gear, and I've talked to a few people here locally that duck hunt here in Tennessee too, so hopefully gonna get into it again next, duck season. And pheasant. I've seen pheasant with my own eyes, but I've never hunted them. So my family on both sides, my mom and my dad and all my family still all live in Nebraska. So when I was a kid, we'd be walking, exploring grandpa's farm and whatnot, and there'd be pheasants popping up. What kind of bird is that? My dad, oh, that's a pheasant. Well, we don't
Yeah.
have pheasant in Tennessee. Um,
No.
I also saw pheasant in Montana when I hunted out there, but of course it wasn't pheasant season. So, but they're
Well,
pretty.
I think what I can do, I might just invite you with me up in South Dakota. I grew up in southeast South Dakota and still have contacts there, and I hunt pheasants every year.
Yeah,
And I think it'd be great to pull you in up there sometime if you want to go. But you have to be ready to be involved as a pheasant hunter. That's going to take up more of your time.
that would be a blast. And I think I told you last time we talked. My goal is to have one of everything mounted on my wall, and I need
Uh,
a pheasant. I need a pheasant for my wall. Now I've got some ducks at the taxidermist, and I need a pheasant at the taxidermist.
yeah, you're going to need some more walls too if you go that route.
Yeah, Yeah, my wife already told me a couple weeks ago that I need to build a shop and get all the deer out of the house, but
Oh, sure. Yeah, I got that song and dance a long time ago. The interesting thing, though, is that, this space that I see on the wall that would just be beautiful spot for a head never really is. My wife tells me that's not a good look. We don't want that. Until she shoots a 41-inch Gemsbuck bull
ooh,
in Namibia. And then all of a sudden it gets to go on that spot on the wall. I don't know how that
maybe
happens.
I need to try that. My wife
You should
my
try
wife
that.
has been on hunts with me, but she's never taken an animal herself.
Yeah. Well, my wife was not a hunter, but she was an outdoors woman. She loved to backpack and camp, and she was a kayaker, and she just loved the outdoors and any kind of adventure. So I invited her along on my hunts. Boy, once she got started on it, I didn't push her. I just let her watch, and then she suggested it. She said, I'd like to try this. And boy,
Really?
once she tried it, she just loved it. And of course, the meat, she's always been all over
Oh,
that. Once I introduced her to elk and,
oh,
and pronghorn, we absolutely love. So, it's worked out well. Of course, now it's a lot more expensive to go hunting
oh,
because I've got to buy 2 tags.
yeah. And pronghorn, that's another one I need for my wall, and it looks like in October this year, I'm gonna get the chance to do that, so I'm looking for
Oh, you're going, huh? Where you headed?
New Mexico.
Oh, yeah, they've got some nice heads down there. They got some beautiful antelope.
I've
Yep, I've
I've
hunted it
also
several times. You'll like that.
never been to New Mexico, so that'd be cool. When I hunted in Montana, I've only hunted there one time, but I drove from my house in Tennessee all the way to Montana. It's like a 27-hour drive. When I went through
Yep.
Wyoming, I kept seeing what I thought were sheep, like, just along the interstate, and finally, I pulled my van over and just pulled up the binoculars, and I was like, "Whoa!" Just driving through Wyoming, you could see 200 antelope or pronghorn, whichever you call,
Oh, yeah.
just along the interstate, and I had never seen
Yep.
one in my life, and I was just like, "This is insane." Because in
Yeah.
Tennessee, you drive along the interstate, you might see one whitetail every, 100 miles or so just standing there, but 200 antelope just, like,
Yeah.
everywhere you go, I couldn't believe it. And when I was
Ah, you're not the first guy.
in Montana, I saw a bunch while we were hunting, but I didn't have a tag for one, so I it was a bummer,
Yeah.
but
Yep. Lewis and Clark found the same thing. When they hit South Dakota and saw their first pronghorn, they were seeing big herds of them, and they were marveling at how sharp-eyed they were and how fast they could run and all the rest of it. And we have been loving pronghorn ever since. Yeah, you're going to have a great hunt. Hey, don't let anybody tell you have to shoot them from a mile away and they're just too spooky. You can stalk those guys remarkably closely.
I will keep that in mind.
Yeah, it's fun.
What's gonna be interesting is which caliber to pick or which
No, you
so
got a lot of good
I might
options
need to
there.
go back and watch a bunch more Ron Spomer videos and figure that out.
Are you leaning toward anything right now?
So, another one of my goals is to take an animal with every cartridge, starting with the most common ones. So,
Oh, oh, oh.
it all
You set yourself some pretty high
yeah,
goals there,
I
buddy.
know, but I love it. That's my passion. So, it might take me 50 years, or whatever, but by then we'll probably have 50 new cartridges. So,
Yeah.
on, off the cuff, I might tell you 25-06. So, I have not
That's
taken a big game with 25-06 yet, and I think
yeah.
that'd probably be a good pick for antelope.
Well, if you want to do one with every cartridge, pronghorn would be the one to do with the 25-06. That to me is the quintessential pronghorn cartridge. I think that's absolutely optimum.
I love the 25-06. Mine's a Ruger. Man, my memory's terrible. I start talking about things, I forget what they're called. Ruger, is it
Number
Mark something?
is it
I can't remember.
a Mark II?
That might be a Hawkeye is what it is. Is a Mark?
Oh, you got the Hawkeye. Yeah, that's a Mark II Hawkeye.
Yeah, yeah, and I love that
That's a
rifle.
good bolt action
I've
rifle.
I've, shot that at 1,000 yards consistently, and I absolutely love that one, so but I
That'd be the
we can
one.
get close to 'em.
Yeah, you can. You can get close. I was hunting once in New Mexico with a guide who told me I had to shoot from the truck, which a lot of them like to do, and I hate to do that. It's like I'm out here hunting. I'm not having a motor race or anything
Yeah.
silly. "Oh, I want to get down the ground and hunt." He said, "You'll never get within a mile of them." So I said, "I know, just humor me and let me try it, then you can bug me later and razz me." Okay. So I get out of the truck and I start stalking. I got within 150 yards of that buck.
Ooh, man.
I don't think they'd ever seen a human walking before. Everybody was driving trucks.
I would probably
But
answer the same way, like, trucks are fine for scouting and stuff, but
yeah,
that's just
exactly.
unnatural. Cheating.
Yeah, I think so too. Well, gosh, you got quite an adventure in front of you, Adam. If you're going to try to take all the game, mount them all on your wall, try one with every cartridge out there. Gee whiz, you've got a busy, busy life in front of you, partner.
Well,
You going to keep doing the videos?
oh, yeah, oh, yeah. I ooh, that brings up another topic in my mind. So, filming is a whole nother aspect. So, the biggest whitetail I've ever seen on a hunt, I watched him for 10 minutes waiting for enough camera light. Coulda got him in the scope, but right as we got enough camera light, my wife was my camera girl, and she dropped her phone, and the deer was at 100 yards, and he heard it and took off. I was like, "Ugh." I was like, I could have taken him, but since we were waiting for enough camera light, and then same
Oh,
thing
yeah.
happened to me this past year. We were, going after red stags. Monster.
Red Stag?
In Texas.
Where was
It was in
that?
Texas.
Oh,
We weren't
okay.
over in New Zealand or anything, it was in Texas.
Oh, shoot.
But a monster came out with the big crowns, you know how they get those on the top?
Oh,
And
yeah.
my sons were with me. I took them with me, helping me film and everything. They both got animals too while we were there. And they're like, "Get him, shoot him." And I'm like, they didn't understand. You can't see him on the camera. We have to wait for the cameras. And of course, by the time that there was enough light, that red stag took off. We ended up taking a really nice one, but there's two examples of the biggest animals I've ever seen with my eyeballs since we're
Yeah.
filming it. So sometimes it's a pain to film it, but I love filming everything. I just love it.
Yeah, I do too, but it does interrupt the hunt. Anymore, I've done it so much that these days, what I really like to do is to go hunting with no cameras, no assignments from any magazine. So it's really getting back to why I started hunting in the first place,
Yeah.
with my personal connection with nature and really getting down to the nitty gritty and just, I always say it's like sucking it all in. You just want to suck the marrow out of that whole
Yeah.
experience. It's a lot different when you do it that way rather than having to worry about whether the camera's on and there's enough light and
Yep.
all that stuff. So, yeah, more power to you. Well, we are going to look forward to watching more of your videos. You're going to continue reviewing firearms, I imagine,
Oh, yeah.
until you can go hunting.
Oh, yeah.
And then we're going to see some good hunts from you, right?
Absolutely. That's my plan is I'm trying to get ahead before deer season gets here and have a bunch of stuff stored away. It
Oh,
probably
yeah.
won't end up happening, but that's my goal. So when September hits, hey, we're just hunting through January.
Yeah. Kind of like a vacation, huh?
I call it work. My wife calls it vacation. My wife says I don't work. I'm
That
just always on vacation, but it's work.
that's yeah. That's a tough one. Your wife always thinks you're out playing all the time, and it's hard to get them to believe that that's actually hard work.
Yeah. Yeah. Lots of work.
We suffer. We suffer for our art.
Yes. That's a good way to put it. Yep.
Well, listen, why don't you and I make some plans for South Dakota pheasant hunt this fall?
Yeah.
Would you like to try that?
I would love it. That would be awesome.
Um, November's probably the month I would pick. We could take the October opener, but then the big crowds are there and everything. And I've always found it a little more productive in mid to late November because there's more cover that's down and the birds are more concentrated. So you hit the right cover and you've got a lot of birds piled in there. And generally, there's not a lot of folks harassing them at that time. So you've got it all to yourself.
That would be awesome.
So keep those dates in mind. You're going to have to tear yourself away from the Tennessee deer hunt for a while.
Maybe I could turn it into a family vacation and we can stop,
That would
see
work.
grandma along the way and like that.
Oh, you still have family up there in what, Nebraska?
Yep. So my
Oh,
mom
good.
and my dad were both born in Nebraska. A majority of the family still lives there. Lincoln and
Mhm.
uh, Laurel's a small town where there's family. Omaha. Uh, and then I was born in South Dakota. I can't remember where my dad worked. Somewhere in in near South Dakota. Uh, I still have family in Sioux Falls. I'm sure you know where that is.
Yeah, I grew up about 80 miles from Sioux
Yeah,
Falls.
and
We're both South Dakotans. How do you like that?
yeah, that's wild. Uh,
Isn't
when
that
I drove to
crazy?
I was born in Yankton, so that's pretty wild.
Oh, I was born in
Yeah,
Yankton. This is
and
crazy, dude.
I can remember the name of the hospital because for the longest time I had the, what do you call those nurse gowns or the, uh anyways, the clothes, they're like green or blue that nurses wear. I can't scrubs. So, we had the scrubs that my dad wore when I was born in this Sacred Heart Hospital. If you know the hospital.
Yep, that was the one.
So
Sacred Heart Hospital. That's where I
we
was
were born
born.
in
Oh
the
my
same
gosh.
hospital.
I wonder if we're not brothers from a different mother.
That's I don't know how many people live there because I haven't lived there in forever, but that's a small town. Like, I've been back.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there are about 10,000 or so in Yankton, which when I was a kid out in the farm, that was the big city.
Okay, so something else just popped up in my head. If you know Yankton, have you ever done any spoonbill or paddlefish snagging?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So you know what
Oh,
I'm talking about.
yeah.
That's something to this day, most people, when I bring that up, they're like, "What are you talking about? I've never heard of that fish."
Yeah.
That
Spoonbill,
is
yep.
a lot of fun. My grandpa, he passed away a few years ago, but every April, he would take me for a week, and we'd go snagging for spoonbill, and that was like,
Right below the dam?
well, we didn't go in Yankton. My dad and a bunch of my family tell me stories of snagging in Yankton below the dam. He actually went
Right.
snagging. My grandpa had a fishing cabin on Lake Ozark in Missouri. We
Okay.
did that, uh, downriver of the dam on Lake Ozark.
Yep. Yeah, that's quite the, remarkable freshwater fish, it's related to sharks. It doesn't have a vertebrae,
Yeah,
just a cord, and, it's a plankton feeder, so you have to snag them. They don't bite on anything unless you can figure out a plankton fly,
yep, yep.
and they get huge. I don't know what the record is, like 130 pounds,
I think
150 pounds?
for the longest time, it was 129 pounds. I think somebody recently broke it in South.
Yeah, I think I remember something about 130 something pounds or
Yeah,
that's crazy. Well, the neat thing about them, the bad thing about it at first when they started putting in those main dams on the Missouri River, that's when they first started being able to catch them and anybody really knew what they were because you
yeah,
rarely saw
yeah, they
one.
cut
Suddenly
and
they're all
came
piling
at
up
the
at the
top.
base of the
Yeah,
dam. Yeah. Yeah, but then they can't go upstream to spawn. So it turns out that they need to go upstream to certain spawning gravel bar things that are no longer there because they're all under those reservoirs.
yep.
And they finally figured out how to spawn them in captivity and then introduce fry to the system so the population is back.
Yeah, there's
So,
actually a fishery in Warsaw, Missouri that raises spoonbill. I've been there, and it's pretty cool to
ah,
see. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that's a fun fish if anybody wants to get into something different. Spoonbill, it's a lot of folks that call them spoonbill cats because they have a smooth skin, not scales. So they're sort of like a catfish, but they've got that big duck-like beak sticking out in front of
Yeah,
them. That's where the spoonbill comes
and
in.
they're pretty good
Yeah.
eating. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, there's a trick. You have to take out the dark meat and just get the white meat kind of a thing and pull the cord out
yeah, pull the cord
I
out.
think
We'd cut
yep,
around the head, cut around the tail, and then pull the cord out.
yep, pull that cord out. Yep.
If you cut that cord, it taints the meat. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yep, that's the paddlefish, and it's all over the Missouri and Mississippi watersheds, so all the rivers that feed into those will have them,
Yep,
or most of them. And then the only other place in the world is the Yangtze River, I think, in China.
really.
Has a closely related spoonbill cat. Obviously, it's an ancient, ancient fish, just like sharks going way back when. So, yeah, that's a different one, all right.
Yeah.
Well, listen, you probably have to get back to making some more videos if you have to do one a day. So, we're probably going to ring off. Where will people be able to find you? You've got a YouTube channel that's called
Yeah, it's just called Hootie Hoo, WHOTEEWHO, Hootie Hoo.
Great. Do you have anything else? You like Facebook,
Yeah,
Instagram, or a website?
we do, Facebook, Instagram, we're posting there every day, a couple times a day, and then a new long format video on YouTube every day. Yeah.
Yeah, great. Hey, everybody, I just highly recommend this guy. He's unpretentious, he's honest and straight up, I think, from what I've seen Adam do. And he's not trying to blow any smoke, he just tells it as he sees it and as he discovers it. It's fun to ride along with him and learn as we go. And I don't think we do much better than that. So it's kind of like having a good buddy in front of you on the screen. And he can probably afford to buy more guns than we can, so we get to learn through him without having to spend all that money. But hey, we need to help the poor guy out because he's got to take one of every species with every cartridge in the world. This guy needs a lot of support. Hey, it's great having you, Adam, and we'll look forward to putting a pheasant hunt together with you. Does that sound good?
Yeah, absolutely. I get into trouble with
All
my
right.
wife when we talk about hunting. I could talk about hunting and firearms all day. So,
I can tell.
yeah, we could probably do this every day and have a new topic for a whole year. Like, I love to talk about this
Yeah.
stuff. So, yeah.
And we haven't even mentioned turkeys or elk
No,
yet.
no, we haven't. So, I appreciate you having me on. I've enjoyed it, and
Uh,
we'll have
it was our pleasure, Adam. We'll keep watching your channel and we'll make some plans for next fall, and who knows where this will go.
yeah, that
Thanks for joining us.
thanks for having me on.
Hey, everybody, that's our episode. I hope you enjoyed meeting Adam. Hooty hoo, look him up on YouTube. I think you'll enjoy what you see. This guy's the real deal. Until the next time, this is Ron Spomer signing off. Hunt honest and shoot straight.